Good evening, my name is David Hooper, and I am going to be discussing our dispositions of educators this evening. I believe that all educators should have patience, first and foremost, in the classroom. If we're not patient with these kids who are trying to learn, who may be coming from bad homes, who may have other issues that they're bringing into the classroom, then we cannot help them and gain their trust to go beyond that and become influencers in their lives and help create an entire student. We need to be persistent in our educational goals. We need to be persistent in our aid, in our help for them. I believe we should expect excellence for each student based on their capabilities. Expecting excellence is not going to be the same for everyone in the classroom. We need to evaluate where each student stands. We need to expect that students should be able to hit certain benchmarks and goals. And if they're not, we need to address what issues are holding those up and how to get past those hurdles. However, for each individual student, there will be different excellence marks that we need to hit. Educators should always exercise sound judgment and ethical behavior. As we've seen in so many different cases in recent, in the last year and a half, we've been dealing with educators who are doing immoral issues, who are cheating, who are passing students who shouldn't be, who are doing unethical behavior. I believe it's a basic tenet of teaching that you should exercise sound judgment and ethical behavior. Educators should be sensitive to individual learning and social needs of students and embrace the cultural diversity of the community. I think that goes back to expecting excellence for each individual student, gaining their trust, and becoming someone that they can rely on, who is going to treat them fairly, who is going to assess their situation, and is going to give them the best quality education no matter where they come from. Educators should also recognize that reflection combined with experience leads to growth as a professional. We as teachers need to reflect on what we're doing daily. We as teachers need to assess our goals. We need to assess our education. And where we fall short, we have to continue growing. We have to continue learning and educating ourselves. As soon as we stop learning, as soon as we give up and say, I've done it, I've reached the pinnacle, I'm good from here on out, I'm going to coast to my retirement, that's when we get into trouble. We cannot move forward in educating children and giving kids the best possible education unless we ourselves are educated and pursuing our continued education and learning. Educators should also model integrity by their words and actions. It's easy to say something. It's easy to say, I'm doing something, I believe something, but if you don't act that way, students are not going to trust you. Again, it all comes back to trust. It comes back to what the students expect from you as a teacher and what you're giving to them. And that trust, if they don't have that initial trust, then they're not going to be able to trust you, go on and buy into what you're selling and believe that they can achieve their greatness. Teachers understand the impact of the community involvement and servant leadership as it applies to the welfare of others in the educational setting. Absolutely. We have to involve the community. We have to get the students involved in the community. We need to show servant leadership by getting out and doing what we're expecting our students. If we're asking our students to model a behavior, to donate time, to be a volunteer in the community, yet we sit back and put our feet up and grade and turn in scores, and we ourselves do not model that behavior. Servant leadership starts with us as educators doing what we're supposed to be doing, and from that point on, then we need to move forward with our modeling. Again, that comes back to trust. Educators should be committed to the profession of teaching and learning. We, as educators, this isn't an easy job. So many people I've heard come into teaching, come into educating, come into the profession and say, you know what? I'm going to be a teacher because I want the weekends off. I'm going to be a teacher because I want summers off. I'm going to be a teacher because it's an easy paycheck. Got a bunch of kids, give them some homework, grade some easy stuff, turn in some projects, look good, hang out with your friends. No, that's not what it's about. Teaching is a burden. Teaching is a weight. Teaching is something, it's a calling. I believe teaching is a calling, no matter what it is you're teaching, whatever grade level, whatever subject. We have to be committed to the profession. It's not a come and go. It's not a, this week I feel like I'm going to be an educator, next week I feel like I'm going to be a businessman. It doesn't work that way. I feel in my life that I have been teaching in one way or another. Granted, I did teach junior high for 3 years, but I also was a business owner for 5 years. Had over 100 employees, grew a fairly successful business, and I believe the whole time I was teaching, I was educating on sales, on business, on modeling, on closing deals. It goes on and on. It felt like every day was teaching. It was also modeling, because if I didn't model the behaviors I expected from my employees, then I couldn't expect that they were going to provide the same results. So teaching is a lifelong deal. Teaching is something that we don't jump in and out of. So I challenge you, if you're an educator, if you're a teacher, that you become committed to it. I feel that on my end, it's learning, a disposition I need to work on before entering the classroom, and that's going to be, probably learning more, continuing to learn, being willing to, crack open books and not say this is it. I've graduated with this degree or that master's and I'm done. It's just continuing on. I believe I have strong ethical beliefs and morals, and even to the point of maybe going too far and saying I won't do certain things because it looks a certain way. We have to avoid the look of certain things. And then finally, we're going to talk about the profession. What does it look like, and how do they behave? Educators, this is a profession. We are to be, again, modeling. We are to be commanding the respect and the trust of our students who are put into our care. So that doesn't mean showing up to school, to work, to your job in shorts and a t-shirt and a ball cap and, disheveled and going out the night before and staying up late, and none of that. You have to come to work prepared. You have to come to the classroom with your lesson plans done. You need to come dressed appropriately for think of it as a business day. You have a business. The children and their education, their future is your business as an educator. It is my business as an educator. So I have to present myself in a way that shows them that I value them, that I value them as a student. I value their time, and I respect them enough to wake up, prepare myself in a professional manner, get dressed, be to work on time, and be prepared for the day. So in conclusion, the disposition of a teacher, it needs to be someone who's caring, who's passionate, who expects a lot of from themselves just as much as their students. It's somebody who is going to be persistent in their goals of or their pursuit of the goals for their students. It's someone who's going to expect excellence for each individual student based on that student's goal. It's going to be a professional. It's going to be someone who shows up to work and wants to be there. This is not a step in, step out type of job. This is a lifetime situation. So I thank you for your time. Thank you for watching, and have a great evening.